Good morning. I just finished reviewing week 4, your aviation medical cases discussion questions, and I'm doing this video because a number of you had interesting answers on a couple of the responses, and I thought it would be easier just to talk through it. So the first answer, where a lot of you didn't completely answer the question, was number 3. It starts with, you hold an unexpired aviation medical certificate and you experience a health problem, and A under that asks you to describe the complete analytical process to determine whether or not it's legal for you to continue to act as a pilot or other required flight crew member. The answer that I was looking for, and I think I was fairly lenient in grading, is that if you have an issue that is a temporary medical issue, for example, you break your leg and you're in a big cast, or you have a head cold, that's not something you need to go see your AME for, but you can't exercise your privileges as pilot in command or required flight crew member until that issue goes away and you're able to fully perform your qualifications in that capacity. Now, if it's something, and some of you commented like you have a bad headache but you're able to take Tylenol and it goes away, then that's something you need to determine for yourself whether you think you're still capable as acting as a crew member. The second piece to this is that if you experience a medical issue that might be a permanently disqualifying medical issue or might require the issuance of a SOTA or a special issuance medical certificate, then you have to stop exercising your privileges under your current medical certificate until you go back to your AME, explain what's happened, and receive a new medical certificate. Anytime I'm called by a client about a medical issue that's not a temporary issue like a broken leg, my advice to them is to work with an AME medical consultant that's not the AME that you're going to go to. That way you'll get basically an advance opinion on whether or not your issue will preclude you from having a special issuance medical, or whether you'll need a special issuance medical, and that will also allow you to get any paperwork in order that you need before you make the trip to your AME. The second question that a number of you gave me partial answers to was question 4, which starts with, you are arrested for an alcohol or drug-related traffic offense. And looking through these questions for a second time after reading your answers, I can see why there's some confusion. So I think almost all of you I gave full credit for, because I could see where there was confusion. On 4A, it says, are you required to report the arrest to the FAA? If so, to whom and when? Under the regulations, there is not a requirement to report an arrest, and I'm looking at 6115, offenses involving alcohol or drugs. And if you look under 6115 subparagraph C, it says, for the purposes of paragraphs D, E, and F of this section, a motor vehicle action means, and then it lists what a motor vehicle action is, and that does not include an arrest. So if you are arrested for a DUI, you do not have to report the arrest within 60 days. However, your medical application does ask if you have had any arrests or convictions. So even though you don't have to follow the 60-day rule for an arrest, you will need to report the arrest when you go in for your medical. The second point to this is that while you don't have to report an arrest per se under 6115, to my knowledge, because of the federal highway funding and the way Congress allocates that money, every state that makes an arrest for a DUI will pull your driver's license at the same time, which means your driver's license will have been temporarily at least suspended. So while you're not reporting the arrest, there should always be a suspension that comes along with that of your driver's license, and that would require a report. So just keep that in mind. I also want to point out, and a couple of you did a really good job analyzing this, that anytime your case in court receives a determination that results in a conviction, you need to report that to the FAA. We had a client that kept appealing his case, and each time a new determination would come in, the FAA would get a ping on their, whatever you want to call it, how they cross-check with other agencies. So while the client had only received one DUI, because he kept appealing it, he ended up with 3 hits on his record, which took a while to explain and clear up. So my suggestion to you is anytime there's any determination in a case that meets the definition of motor vehicle action, you should make that 60-day report. The other item I wanted to quickly walk through under question 4 in the discussion questions was D, which says, because this is your first offense, your attorney is able to negotiate a settlement agreement whereby your case will be dismissed with no conviction as long as you attend an approved driver's education or drug or alcohol rehab and have no further drug or alcohol related arrests within the year. And then it says, are you required to report the result to the FAA? If so, to whom and when? If, let's say, you go to an approved driver's education course to meet this settlement negotiation agreement provision, that does not fall under the motor vehicle action in 6115. So you're not required to report that. But a lot of you correctly noted that because you would have been arrested and your license would have been suspended at the arrest, there would still need to be that report made. Otherwise, I think everyone did a nice job on all of the questions. I am going to be grading week 5, basic principles of civil liability, and 6, organizing the business to limit liability shortly. You've probably seen there's no homework posted for week 7 yet. We're going to have our first progress quiz, and I will provide that soon. And you will also be reading chapter 6 in our textbook on aviation insurance. If you would take a minute to drop me a note, let me know what you think of the course so far. If you've got suggestions of what you would like to see, or really just any thoughts, I'd appreciate hearing that. Let me know what you think the homework workload is like as well. Since this is online, it's a little more difficult for me to gauge that. But please do let me know, and let me know if you have any questions, and we'll be in touch soon. Thanks.